You know them, the replacement part knockoffs used increasingly in the commercial vehicle industry. When it comes to valves, knockoffs can look virtually identical to the real thing. But in terms of performance quality and actual costs, you'll learn there are obvious differences between knockoff valves and genuine Bendix valves. Do you really want to wait to discover those differences on the road? Or in the repair shop? Again? Offshore knockoff and counterfeit valves are entering the North American market at an alarming rate. They're reverse engineered from legitimate OEM valves, packaged and sold with the same OEM part numbers, product designations, sometimes even the same names and logos. It happens because someone wants you to believe that a new valve is just as good as a Bendix valve. But new doesn't automatically mean genuine. And if it's not genuine, it isn't the part you need if you want to maintain performance, reliability, and even safety. Since Bendix Commercial Vehicle Systems is known worldwide as an industry leader, we're a prime target for wannabes. But the genuine in genuine Bendix valves really does mean something the others don't have. If it doesn't say Bendix and the Bendix logo isn't there, it's not a genuine Bendix valve. And if it doesn't come from an authorized Bendix distributor, beware. Consider this. Knockoff valves can be made of inferior materials, and their offshore manufacturers may not test them to reliable or original equipment standards. Let's take a look at side-by-side cutaways of a knockoff valve compared to a genuine Bendix brake valve. Notice the difference in wall thickness. During the stress of everyday braking, with the thinner wall of the knockoff, you run the risk of cracking, leading to leaks or even complete rupture. Another critical deficiency of the knockoff valve is the inconsistent spring tension. Inconsistencies like this, frequently found in knockoff valves, create an out-of-balance brake system that can result in a whole host of vehicle stopping and performance issues. And finally, look at the rubber components. The knockoff uses inferior materials that are not as durable or capable of withstanding typical temperature extremes. This leads to leaks and premature valve failure. So you could end up with poor quality and substandard performance in one of your most critical safety systems. And when it comes to the safety of your fleet's drivers and everyone else on the road, substandard is simply unacceptable. At Bendix, top quality materials, mistake-proof production processes, and quality assurance are top priorities for every valve we manufacture. Bendix engineers and tests every genuine Bendix valve to meet or surpass SAE and OEM standards and specifications. We only use materials that are rigorously validated to dimensional tolerances. And we ensure our valves can stand up to the environmental conditions they encounter in the field. Compare that level of performance commitment with a typical knockoff brake valve, the type we see every day. A valve returned by a customer who thought it was Bendix, but it only lasted a few months on the vehicle. Why? Because it wasn't a genuine Bendix at all. With genuine Bendix, you get top-level quality control, state-of-the-art manufacturing expertise and technology, valves that are designed, built, and tested in a mistake-proof environment that adhere to the highest Six Sigma production and quality standards. You get continuous design refinements that match changing OEM requirements and maximize performance to keep you on the road and out of the shop. Plus, you get a vast network of field-proven service and support long after those parts have been purchased, and powerful warranty protection from one of the best programs in the industry. Can the makers of knockoff valves make the same claims? Hardly. They don't even come close. So why would anyone buy them? It's the cost savings a knockoff valve supposedly provides. But take a closer look at those savings on the road and in the shop. A poorly manufactured valve can have unintended consequences in the performance of the air brake system itself. If, for example, valve crack pressure is different than what the OEM specs call for, the result is system imbalance. Instead of air pressure being identical at all wheel ends, one axle works too hard, while another works too little. And that imbalance works against you every day, every brake application. Take a case where the secondary circuit front brakes apply before the primary rear brakes. That means extra load on the front axle, and that in turn speeds up front brake wear. Pit those out-of-adjustment brakes against one of millions of roadside inspections conducted each year by highway patrols and local law enforcement agencies, and you know the results could be a failed inspection, a vehicle sidelined right then and there, a costly tow, repair expenses, and much more. Front brake wear may ultimately produce front brake failure, and the potential costs of that are even greater. Overheated brakes can produce brake fade, cause drums to crack, roast a seal, even cause a vehicle fire. Here's a different look at what decreased performance can mean, especially in terms of increased stopping distance. For a semi traveling at 60 miles per hour, even a 15% increase in stopping distance means it can take up to 50 feet longer to come to a stop. That's 50 feet too long in any situation. For a bus or straight truck, the distance can be even greater. Fewer axles mean less braking power. How much are you willing to risk to save a few dollars in the beginning? But maybe you're still not convinced. Maybe you still think a knockoff valve is more cost-effective. So let's compare the actual costs of a genuine Bendix E6 brake valve to a typical knockoff version. It's true that the upfront cost of the knockoff valve is less, but that's where the savings end, because you also need to consider repair or replacement frequency. After all, a lower quality part won't perform as well or last as long as a higher quality one. So that can mean multiple trips to the service garage. For every trip, here's your average hourly labor rate, your average servicing time for a brake valve repair, and the cost of a replacement knockoff valve. In just one additional trip to the shop, you've spent this much for a valve you thought you saved this much on when you bought it. Now, think beyond that brake valve. Think about quick release valves, dash valves, even relay valves. All of the valves on any commercial vehicle, all of which can affect performance and your overall service expenses. And that doesn't include the costs of an idle vehicle, the lost revenue, the late deliveries, upset drivers, unhappy customers. Nor does it include the costs of replacing other brake system parts that may have been affected by uneven brake wear or brake failure, or any other losses from not being able to maneuver, slow, or stop in time. It may be hard to tell them apart, but when it comes to superior design and engineering, proven industry testing standards, quality assurance, ongoing expert support, warranty, peace of mind, on-road performance and reliability, and true cost-effectiveness, the genuine Bendix difference is obvious.